Samantha Busch stood on the front stretch at Charlotte Motor Speedway wearing a black shirt that read Battle of the Bushes, her arm pulled tight around her 11-year-old son, while the CEO of NASCAR looked directly at her and said 3 words that the entire sport needed to hear out loud. "We got you." What happened on Memorial Day weekend at the 2 biggest racing events in America was not just a tribute. It was motorsport pausing across 2 cities, across 2 series, to say the same thing at the same time. This man mattered, and we will not let the world forget it. Kyle Busch died Thursday, May 21st, at 41 years old. Severe pneumonia progressed into sepsis, and according to his family statement, the complications were rapid and overwhelming. He was preparing for the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte when he collapsed. By Sunday, the tributes had spread across the entire Memorial Day weekend racing landscape, from Indianapolis to Charlotte, from IndyCar to NASCAR, from the Indy 500 to the longest race on the Cup schedule. At Charlotte Motor Speedway, the sport went all in. A large number 8 and Busch's signature were painted into the front stretch grass. His photo appeared on the main video board. The U.S. Army Golden Knights carried his flag during pre-race ceremonies. All 39 cars on the grid wore his decal. The field ran the missing man formation on pace laps. The broadcast and the public address system both went silent on lap 8. On lap 18, his name, birth year, and 2026 were displayed on the scoring pylon. In Indianapolis, Dale Coyne Racing changed the font on Romain Grosjean's number 18 car to mirror Busch's number 18 car to mirror Busch's GGR typeface. His name was spoken during the opening prayer at the Indy 500. On lap 18, race officials at Indianapolis lit the scoring pylon with his name. Both races, both cities, same number, same name. Both races, both wits, same name, same weekend. Memorial Day weekend is American motorsport's biggest calendar moment. The Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 have shared this weekend for decades. The 2 crown jewels of open wheel and stock car racing running on the same Sunday, competing for the same audience, carrying the full weight of the sport's identity into a national holiday. Kyle Busch was registered to run the Coca-Cola 600. He had won this race before. He had been training at Charlotte the week of the event. His presence on the grid was expected and unremarkable, until it wasn't. The shock of his absence at an event he should have started is the invisible backdrop behind every tribute image from Sunday. The shirts Samantha and Brexton wore, Battle of the Bushes, were not standard grief attire. That phrase refers to a specific dynamic within their family's racing life. Brexton, at 11 years old, is already competing seriously in dirt racing and is considered a legitimate future NASCAR prospect. The shirt connects the generation that just ended to the generation that may be beginning. It is grief and continuation worn on the same piece of fabric. O'Donnell's address to the family was the most important institutional moment of the weekend, not because of its length, but because of its specificity. He spoke to Brexton and Lennox by name. He told them their father loved them. He told Samantha the sport stands with her. These are not formalities. They are commitments stated publicly to a widow and 2 young children by the person who runs the organization. The sport will be measured against those words in the years ahead. The Indianapolis dimension matters because it demonstrates the reach of Busch's reputation beyond the boundaries of his own series. IndyCar drivers who rarely intersected with him personally responded with genuine emotion. Josef Newgarden, a 2-time Indy 500 champion, spoke about Busch's children. Catherine Legg called him one of the greatest drivers in the history of the sport. These are people from a different world of racing, and they felt the loss. The scale of the tribute infrastructure deployed across this Memorial Day weekend is worth examining analytically because it did not happen by accident, and it did not come together without deliberate coordination. Consider what was executed at Charlotte alone: a painted tribute in front stretch grass, a video board image, a U.S. military flag carrying ceremony, individual car decals across all 39 entries, a coordinated missing man formation during pace laps, simultaneous broadcast and PA silence on a specific lap, and a scoring pylon display on a second specific lap. Each of those elements required different departments, different approvals, and different logistics, all assembled within 4 days of Busch's death, in the middle of race week at one of the busiest venues on the NASCAR calendar. That is not a spontaneous outpouring. That is an institution demonstrating that it can move quickly and cohesively when the moment demands it. NASCAR is often criticized for bureaucratic slowness and risk-averse decision-making. This weekend was a counter-argument to that criticism delivered in real time. The Indianapolis parallel is the element that elevates this from a NASCAR story to an American motorsport story. The Indy 500 did not have to include Busch. His career was in a different series, on different tracks, in a different car. The Dale Coyne Racing font change, the lap 18 pylon display, the mention in the opening prayer. These were choices made by people who did not have to make them and made them anyway. It says something about the respect Busch commanded across the entire sport of racing in America, not just within the ecosystem he competed in. O'Donnell's line, "Kyle Busch is NASCAR," is the most declarative statement the sport's leadership made this weekend, and it will be quoted for years. What makes it analytically significant is the present tense. Not, was, is. He did not use the past tense to describe a man who just died. He used the present tense to describe something permanent. That is a deliberate rhetorical choice, and it reflects an understanding that Busch's identity within the sport does not end with his death. It continues in the building that races under his name, in the number reserved for his son and the drivers he mentored, in the wins that stand in the record books forever. The lap 18 pylon display at Indianapolis, Busch's number, his birth year 2026, is worth singling out because it is the most quietly powerful detail of the entire weekend. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the self-proclaimed racing capital of the world. Having Busch's name and dates appear on that scoring tower places him in a lineage that transcends NASCAR. It says, this man was not just a stock car champion. He was a figure in the history of racing, full stop. The image of Samantha Busch with her arm around Brexton on the front stretch at Charlotte has become the defining photograph of the weekend, perhaps of the entire Kyle Busch Memorial period. It is a specific human image that communicates grief, strength, and continuation simultaneously. A mother and son, both in black, in the place where the man they love was supposed to be racing. Fans arrived at Charlotte wearing rowdy gear that had been in their closets for years. Some bought new, some pulled from memory, and the image of the grandstands full of that particular shade of red and yellow. Carrying a name that is no longer on the entry list created a visual tribute that no organization could have planned or produced. That came from the fan base directly. The response from the Indianapolis side of the weekend was notable for its sincerity. Newgarden's comment about thinking of his own sons when he learned of Busch's death is the kind of reflexive human response that has no media calculation behind it. Led you calling Busch one of the greatest drivers in history, from someone whose career has been primarily in open-wheel racing, is a cross-discipline endorsement that means more precisely because it came from outside Busch's world. The weekend produced no controversy, no missteps, no moments that will need to be walked back. In a sport that frequently generates friction, this was a weekend of near total unity, and that, in itself, is a tribute to how the entire community understood what the moment required. O'Donnell's promise to the Busch family becomes the foundation of a lasting institutional relationship between NASCAR and Samantha, Brexton, and Lennox. The sport keeps the family visible, keeps the legacy active, and makes good on the Hall of Fame induction without procedural delay. Brexton develops through the racing ranks with the full support of an ecosystem that has been told by its own CEO that this family is NASCAR family forever. And when Brexton eventually lines up at a NASCAR track in a car carrying the number 8, the phrase, "We got you," spoken on a front stretch at Charlotte in May of 2026, is understood to have been the beginning of a promise that was fully kept. The words do not hold. The institutional attention that O'Donnell's speech implied proves difficult to sustain through a competitive season and the normal pressures of running a major sports series. Samantha and the children find the ongoing public visibility painful rather than supportive and gradually disengage from the NASCAR world. The Hall of Fame process stalls. Brexton pursues racing on his own terms without the structural backing the weekend's rhetoric suggested. In the Memorial Day tribute, as thorough and genuine as it was, becomes the high point of the sport's response rather than its starting point. The promise was made publicly. Whether it was real will only be known over time. 2 cities, 2 races, 1 weekend, 1 name on every scoring pylon, every car decal, every prayer, every moment of silence, every lap counted in 8s and 18s across the racing capital of the world and the longest track on the NASCAR schedule. Steve O'Donnell told Samantha Busch that the sport has her. He told Brexton and Lennox that 95,000 people in the grandstands are their family. He said Kyle Busch is NASCAR, not was, is. And he said there will never be another. All of that is true. Whether it remains true in practice over years and not just one extraordinary weekend is the question this sport now has to answer with actions rather than words. Here is what I want from you in the comments. What was the single moment from this entire Memorial Day weekend, Charlotte, Indianapolis, or anything in between, that you think Kyle Busch himself would have appreciated most? I want to know, because that answer tells us something real about who he was. Subscribe if you have been here for the full arc of this coverage. 13 scripts across one of the most significant weeks in the history of American motorsport. We documented every piece of it, and we're grateful you were here for it.